Hello everybody and welcome back. So in my last video, I mentioned how I will be cooking through my pantry, doing a lot of budget meals this month in order to save myself from going to the grocery store and spending even more money. This time, right after Christmas, is so hard for a lot of people because they are right at the end of their budgets and a lot of things are very expensive these days. I know I just heard from the Canadian government that groceries are going to be even more expensive this year again. So a lot more people are finding it necessary to find meals that are more budget friendly as well as being healthy and nutritious to feed their families. So I'm going to show you what we do here in order to make healthy, fulfilling, and nutritious meals on a budget. For my first recipe, I am going to put together a sausage and pasta soup in my slow cooker. For starters, I'm just chopping up one onion. Normally I'd use a yellow onion, but I got these purple onions on sale, so that's what I'm using. To that, I am chopping up a couple of cloves of garlic. You can add as much garlic as you like to this recipe. You always measure garlic with your heart. As with any soups, these are a great opportunity to put in whatever vegetables are in your fridge waiting to be used up. I had a couple of carrots that just needed to be used up, so I am putting these in here as well. I'm also going to cut up one whole red pepper and put that in the pot too. Normally, I would put sausage in this recipe, however, I do not currently have any sausage in the house. I do have this salami that needs to be eaten up, so I'm going to cut that up and put that in my pasta. To this, I am adding 2 quarts of home canned beef broth. You can use whatever variety of beef broth you want. Store-bought is just fine, but I have lots in stock, so this is what I'm going to use. To this, I'm going to add some parsley, basil, and oregano, about a teaspoon each. I'm not going to add salt to this because the salt in the salami should keep the soup salty enough. I am also adding 1 jar of diced tomatoes. Now I'm just going to cover it and cook it on low for about 2 hours until all my vegetables are cooked. Always make sure that slow cooker is plugged in. After the vegetables are all cooked, I add about 2 cups of pasta. If you like your soup more soupy, then I'd add a little less. But this turned out just perfect for my family. My kids absolutely loved this soup. Next, I'm going to put together a sheet pan meal. So this meal will consist of cauliflower or a vegetable of your choice, as well as some potatoes and chickpeas. I add parchment paper to my cookie sheet just to make for easy cleanup. First, I'm just going to chop up 1 onion and get it onto my cookie sheet. I'm also going to cut up about 5 or 6 small white potatoes into small chunks. Then I just spread them out evenly over the pan. Next, I take a head of cauliflower and I'm just going to chop it up into small chunks and spread it out evenly over the pan. Next, I'm going to add a jar of my home canned chickpeas. Now I'm going to put all of the chickpeas as well as all of the juice, which is aquafaba, on top of all of this. You could use oil if you wanted, but the aquafaba actually acts as an oil, so this is what I'm going to be utilizing today. So I just made sure that my chickpeas were spread evenly all over this pan. Next, I'm just going to add a little bit of salt all over all of the ingredients. I'm also going to be adding some rosemary. This went into the oven at 400 degrees for about 45 minutes until the potatoes were fully cooked. I personally love crispy chickpeas, so this is a favorite meal of mine. Next, I'm going to be doing a version of my chicken and rice dish. However, I will not be using chicken. I don't have any chicken in the house, but I do have some bacon. This bacon is what I bought on sale when it was $2.99 a package, so I find this to be a very budget-friendly meal. Chicken these days I find can be very expensive, and I haven't been able to find any on sale recently, so I think the bacon will be a really good substitute. I'm just starting getting one onion in the frying pan. Then I'm going to take my package of bacon and just cut it up into pieces. To this dish, I'm also just going to cut up a handful of cremini mushrooms. If mushrooms are not a favorite in your household, you can definitely just leave them out or substitute for another vegetable. So I just make sure that I'm constantly stirring my bacon to keep it from burning or sticking to the bottom of my pan. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my mushrooms in with this bacon. The mushrooms will soak up all the flavor of the bacon and they will taste so yummy. I also have half of a bell pepper, so I'm going to chop that up and get that in there as well. I find adding vegetables to any dish helps to bulk it up and stretch it out. Once everything is cooked down a bit, I'm going to add 1 cup of rice to this dish. I'm going to add it in and just let it kind of soak and simmer into the baking fat, as well as it gives it a bit of a saute. After that's been cooking for a couple of minutes, I go ahead and add 2 cups of water. Now I'm just going to stir this in and let it soak and simmer until the rice is fully cooked. This was a really delicious dinner. The bacon totally gave everything a lot of really good flavor. I'll probably do this more than my chicken and rice one now. Lastly, I'm going to be doing one of my favorite dishes. This is a vegan version of butter chicken. Instead of chicken, I will be using lentils. First, I just start by chopping up one of my onions and getting it in the frying pan. Next, I'm going to take a handful of these cremini mushrooms and get them all chopped up. Some of these mushrooms were absolutely gigantic. This one here is the same size as my palm. Mushrooms are very meaty in texture, are very filling, so if you're looking for a good meat substitute in some of your dishes, then having a lot of mushrooms in there is really awesome. Normally I don't add cauliflower to this dish, however, I had some that needed to be used up, so I'm just going to chop it up and put it in there. I've always mentioned in my videos that adding more vegetables to your dish can bulk it up and stretch it out, as well as adding extra nutrients, so I am always pro vegetable in any dish. I also like to get my greens in wherever I can. I've recently been buying a lot of collard greens. They're very cheap to buy and you get a really good big bunch of them. So I'm adding a handful of those and keeping these stems aside so I can use them in a vegetable broth later. I just stir everything around and make sure everything is cooking evenly. To make the sauce, I'm using 1 pint of my home canned tomato sauce. 1 jar of regular tomato sauce bought from the store is fine as well. And then I'm using 400 milliliters or 1 3/4 cup of milk. You can use whatever milk you have on hand. I find coconut milk to be the best here, but if that's not available, then that's fine. I also add in about 2 teaspoons of salt. I also add in about a tablespoon of garam masala powder. This is an awesome spice blend that I really love. If it's not something you have on hand or something you cannot find, the recipe is online. It's cinnamon, nutmeg, coriander, cumin, and cloves, I believe. Next, I'm going to take some lentils that I've had soaking and I'm just going to drain them and rinse them and get them in with the rest of my vegetables. Once the lentils are in there, I'm just going to pour my blended sauce in and let it simmer and cook until all the vegetables are nicely cooked. This typically takes about a half an hour. This was absolutely delicious as always, and the last dish that I made for this week as we had tons of leftovers. This dish can also be served with rice. There is a decent amount of broth in here, or you can also serve it with some bread. I just like to eat it as is, but if you like a little extra, then toss some rice in there with it. Thank you so much for coming with me while I show you all of these meals that I do on a budget. I hope it helps to inspire you to be more creative in your kitchen and to find different meal ideas that work for you and your family. Please remember, if you are struggling, to hit up your community connections like the food bank or local churches. They are there to help you. I hope you are all doing wonderfully, and I'll see you all next time.